Good evening, everybody. We'll call to order the Milton School Committee meeting for this evening, December 17th, 2025, and we'll start with Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So Chair Serio is unable to be here this evening, so I'm just stepping in to help run the meeting. And the first thing is to approve the agenda for this evening. Does anyone have any changes to the agenda? The only thing I noticed was possibly postponing the approval of minutes to our next meeting. Anything else that we want to change or postpone?
We did have a school building committee.
Maybe we can
We
add
need
that.
to wait till the next meeting, that's fine.
Yeah, I'll make a note of that and we can add that when we talk about next meeting agenda item. All right, so the first item will be our public comment. The portion of our meeting we set aside to hear from members of the community who would like to share their perspective with us. For our policy, we set aside up to 15 minutes to hear from members of the community for up to 3 minutes at a time. And people can join us either in person or by Zoom. I think we have a couple of student representatives here who will be introduced momentarily. I don't see anyone else in person for public comment. Are either of you hoping to speak to public comment? We'll hear from your report shortly. Okay, is there anyone online? If you're online and would like to speak, can you raise your hand, please? Okay. Going once, going twice. Okay, don't see any hands raised online, so we can move right into our superintendent's report. Mr. Phelan, thanks.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. The first order of business tonight is to recognize our student representatives. So I'd like to introduce Adam Cheers and Elias Karos to the table. While they're approaching the table, I'd like to let you know that Adam Cheers is a junior serving his third term as a representative to the school committee at Milton High. Besides this role, he is involved in debate, writes for the school newspaper, and plays tennis in the spring. Well done, Adam. And Elias is a senior who is serving his fourth term as a student representative to the school committee for Milton High School, and he is in the class of 2026. In addition to his role, he is involved in the Tri-M Music Honor Society, plays violin as a concert master of the school orchestra, and is an officer of the Latin Club. So, gentlemen, welcome. You're welcome.
So, first, I would like to discuss our recent events in our music department. Recently, we've had 2 concerts. One with our big ensembles, our big orchestra, our concert band, and jazz band, and our chorus. And then we also had the extracurricular concert the week before. And those events saw turnout we could have never imagined. The community is so enthusiastic about the arts and music, especially around the time of the holidays. And it was so wonderful to perform there, as I'm involved with the orchestra, and to see the joy on everyone's faces. Everyone was just so delighted with, our music, and that was so great to see. And then, in addition, we have this week and going on into early next week, for these final last few days, we have at school ensembles are performing in the foyer of Milton High School, in the lobby of the auditorium. We did the chamber orchestra, which I'm also a part of, did it this morning, and that of course spreads a lot of holiday cheer to the members of our community and our high school and our district. Everyone, you know, we're standing there, sort of watching us and appreciating all of our hard work. It brought a smile to all their faces, and I think it's such a great reminder of, you know, the community that the arts, particularly in our district, creates. And I think it's such a special thing, and I'm so grateful that we have it.
Thank you, Elias. In addition to that, the student government has been hosting events to promote a positive school spirit. This included our Spirit Week at the end of November and the pep rally that welcomed in the Thanksgiving break. Shout out to Elizabeth May, our senior class president, and the football captain, John Gelly, for emceeing the event. Students enjoyed the pep rally, which had events like tug of war and a relay race. And also on Thanksgiving Day, Milton won its 105-year-old tradition of playing Braintree 31-0. So go Milton Wildcats. Some things on the radar: the student government is hosting a Sweetheart Dance in February that will bring together all 4 of our grades. This is the first time we're doing something like this, and it will be a gigantic fundraising opportunity as we look forward to the spring.
Wonderful. And then just last Friday, we had a great conversation in our monthly meetings as school committee reps, along with Superintendent Phelan and member Bauchu. We discussed, you know, the graduation requirements. There is now a question about, you know, the world language. Should that be a requirement or not? The state legislature, you know, of course, then passed the bill about the cell phone policy. So we are now back to discussing and researching the solutions to the problem that other districts have implemented. And we are looking forward to getting some student feedback from our own peers and from staff and from parents. And we are very excited to report back and to make some positive change.
Awesome. And finally, in this season of gift giving, I wanted to share with you the latest edition of The Elephant in the Room, which is our student newspaper. So this will make its way around the table. And I think this shows some of the ambition, the diverse talents of the Milton High School student body. So we hope you enjoy that. And we'd welcome any questions you have or anything you'd like to put on our radar to share back with the larger student government.
Thank you both so much.
I just had a question on the process for the cell phone bill. As you said, it's passed the Senate, it's going to the House. It looks like it will pass the House is the current estimation. And I think they're looking for implementation for next school year. Just wondering what time, based on that timeline, I think it would be great for us, this body, to have feedback from students and from high school staff as well on what could this look like, given some running room, but that might run out pretty soon and everybody gets very busy as we approach the end of the year. So anyway, just generally wondering if y'all had a sense of timeline for kind of discussing, or I think y'all did a survey last year, if not, and was there other kind of that type of engagement that y'all are looking at doing?
Yeah, we have sort of creative a schedule for our own monthly meetings for the spring and for second semester, and we will continue our conversations. We will continue our research, and hopefully as soon as possible, we will begin talking to our peers, and we will discuss the feedback and the results we obtain, and we will report back soon.
Yeah, and thank you for the question. I think as, student elected representatives, we hope to prioritize the student perspective and deliver that as best as we can. And we know that the, cell phone ban conversation is like particularly challenging for students. So ideally, we're going to look at a way to make it fair and also responsible.
Yeah, I guess my feedback on just I think previously we've asked them like if they would like a ban or not. I think it's been a little more open. I think at this point, it seems like the hand for Milton is gonna be forced by the state legislature. So I think even just the framing of the conversation of it's gonna be a ban, but what are the options, I guess, within that kind of range of what the limited range of possibilities, and what, to your point of like fairness, what feels fair or not within that type of kind of bell-to-bell ban of cell phones, and what are the allowable exceptions? I'm not sure what the legislation allows for in those scenarios, but just that framing and feedback would be great, so I appreciate you all taking
Yeah,
it on.
thank you. We will look into that.
Those are great suggestions, and we'll definitely talk about that in our school meeting, perhaps.
We also talked about how we want to make sure that we first see the law, what actually gets passed, because it might not be. Be very important, whatever the legislation is, to help the rollout, talk about what is important to students, what's important to families. Would be the liaison to that conversation about how it could be implemented in a way that's fair and clear for folks and get some student voice there. And the other item we talked a little bit about was the new graduation requirements and having the group come to discuss that when we get into our curriculum review group to discuss the next program of study. So we'll be inviting this team to that as well to get some student voice in that meeting as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you for the music in the morning. It creates a great way to start our day when we hear you guys playing in the morning.
Happy holidays.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
So I want to continue with the superintendent's update, a few things that I would just like to announce and to the viewing public and to the school committee. First of all, we did not meet on December 3rd. We moved the meeting to here tonight at December 17th, so we really haven't welcomed folks back from Thanksgiving. And we are in the holiday season. After meeting with several of our guidance folks, I just want to say out loud that the community of families in the community of our staff and faculty do an incredible job raising money to support families of the students of our school. We have private donations that we receive. We have gift cards that were raised from certain student clubs. Every single school is generating dollars and gift cards and presents for families that are in need. We've identified certain families, interacted with them. And I'd say somewhere we have, we're giving out over $5,000 worth of gift cards, gifts, and also potentially making a donation to the grade 8 trip to DC in order to support families who may not have enough money to do that. So I can't thank the community enough. These funds come to us anonymously from folks who may have a get together and pass the hat and come in, and we received $3,500 in that way from a family who had a get together. So I can't thank the community enough. And also I want to thank our faculty and staff because they're also chipping in and contributing to that as well. So thank you to the community. Getting into buildings has been a big part of our work. And I want to thank Calacosa. Since Thanksgiving, we've been into the Tucker, the Glover, the Cunningham, and just today we were at the middle school, walking through classrooms, seeing good education happening, teaching and learning happening, following the criteria of what we're looking for related to our 5 priorities. And I can only say and continue to say that we're seeing excellent things related to Tier 1 instruction, people using data to inform their decisions related to teaching and learning, rigor, supporting students. We've been in a lot of very, very well-run classrooms over the last few weeks since our last meeting, so excited to continue that work this year. I also want to ensure families around safety. There's been a couple of safety issues related to Brown University and what happened in Australia. Want to make sure the community knows that we've already had all of our stay put drills this fall. We've already had our fire drills this fall. We will continue with our safety meetings with the police and fire departments. We'll resume that in January. And I just want to remind our families and our staff that we do work on those drills. We do have conversations about safety. We usually don't celebrate it and put it out in front of everybody. We do these drills and we have these conversations in order to be prepared. But this being in the news every night, I want to assure our community that we do have those meetings, and we'll continue to lean on our safety and first responders in the town who have been incredible partners with the Milton Public Schools. On January 16th, we'll have that safety and security meeting with the police and the fire department. I have recently completed all of my community coffee hours with the community. We had 4 sessions, morning, afternoon, and at night. I've also had coffee hours at every single building. That was my round 2 of meeting with our staff. And for the viewing public and our staff, I will do that round of coffee hours again after February break, and that will be my 3rd round after February vacation. In January, please look for and mark your calendars for January 8th, which is our preschool information night for all of our preschool families. That is a virtual meeting, so I think it supports the families with young children at home to be able to do it virtually. Our kindergarten information night will be done virtually as well, and that will be on January 15th, and these will be all on the website. And our grade 1 information night, which will be in person at Milton High School, will be March 12th. And lastly, I would like to say thank you very much this holiday season, and I hope everybody has a wonderful next few weeks as we prepare to end the calendar year. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Anyone have any questions? Thank you very much, Mr. Phelan. The next item looks like the 24-25 annual report, which we've previously reviewed, but we will now be taking a vote to approve it.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2024-2025 annual report.
Thank you. Is there a second? Anna, second. All in favor? Okay, thank you. And so the last item under the superintendent's report this evening will be the discussion of the draft calendar for next year.
Thank you very much, Chair Carroll. So with the policy voted last year by the school committee, the calendar, the holidays that are represented on the school calendar rotate each year. So this year we recognize Good Friday and Yom Kippur. In the next school year, in the 26-27 calendar, per the policy, we will be recognizing Lunar New Year and Eid. The reason why we wanted to get this information out to our families now, as we begin this conversation about what the full calendar impact will be in terms of when the professional days will be, the first and last day of school, et cetera, is that this is the first year of the shift, and we just wanted to make sure that we were proactively communicating with our community that the holidays that we had traditionally had days off from school will shift next school year. The days that we will wanted to Saturday, so we would want to reach out, Bow, to maybe someone in the community that could give us guidance on if it's a Saturday, do we have the Friday off, or do we celebrate the holiday on the calendar, whether it has a day off from school or not. So we don't have to answer that question tonight, but we really want to be respectful of the community of folks who represent that event in that time. And the second holiday is on March 9, and that's recognizing Eid. So those will be the 2 holidays, which means we will not be recognizing any other holidays with days off just those holidays that are federal holidays.
So Lunar New Year is usually celebrated on New Year's Eve, which is similar to Christmas Eve,
Mm.
which means Christmas, the day itself is the celebration day, but the dinner is happened the night before, right? So the 24th and the 25th are the 2 days that you usually get together,
Mhm.
and it's a nighttime celebration. On the New Year's Day, we usually do some kind of worshiping of the ancestors or gods, whether Buddha or Buddha Sattva, and depends on Taoism or Buddhism. So yeah, that's why when I look at this calendar, Lunar New Year is on a Saturday, so if it's not actually making any impact if you give Lunar New Year off on the next
Right.
school year.
So I did have it, I just have it bolded, but that's what I wanted to check with you first
Mhm.
before designating either the fifth, Friday the fifth, or Monday the eighth. I just wanted to make sure that we were doing it appropriately. So,
It should be the 5th.
okay,
Yeah.
all right, I'll make that change.
I guess the only other option there would be to just
Switch.
swap it with
Exactly.
Diwali. If Diwali doesn't fall on a weekend, I'm not sure. if the day
Yeah, that's
falls
how I was
is coming.
thinking too.
So maybe we-
Yeah, because the guidance around the outlook of holidays 1 year to the next is not set in stone. I think that was attempting to sort of provide a roadmap that would let us imagine how in the course of a 5-year period, each holiday would be recognized as just 2 times, I guess. And so if that becomes something that makes more sense, I think that is not, I don't believe that's like codified within the policy, like
Okay.
which 2 would be next year and the year after that. If it makes sense to do that swap, I think that would.
How long is Diwali celebrated for?
So we have also, as part of the calendar, we've been continuing to contribute to a full list of all holidays that we want to make sure that every community member in school, community member is aware of, which will go on the back of the calendar
That's great.
and be connected to the online school calendar as well. Our goal is to make sure that if your religious holiday is not being represented by a day off, that you always have the right to go into school and say, I will be out of school celebrating or recognizing my religious holiday. And therefore, our staff will be able to accommodate the workload
That's an
around that.
excused
So
absence.
so we will be checking with the different sources we have in order to make a list that you have in your packet that is pretty extensive to make sure that we represent any one of those, and that will be given to staff and to families. It's really helpful for the staff to have it, so when a child comes up and says, I won't be here on Thursday, they can, make sure that they're recognizing that holiday and respecting that wish as well. The other part of this connected to holidays, which we can talk about as we get through the next month or so when we solidify it, is that our family should note that Labor Day is late next year. It's the latest it can be. So we are starting school late, but in the same way, which is students would arrive to school on the Wednesday and Thursday prior to Labor Day with no school on the Friday. And then school would resume on the Tuesday after Labor Day. With that late start results with a late finish, which means that the last day of school without any snow days would be June 23rd. And we would actually add the 5 days per DESI policy to the end of that. So which means with the snow days potentially being had, so we have to connect that to our calendar schedule, that the last day of school with snow days would be June 30th. And I don't think we've ever really gone that late in a long time. So that is a function of when Labor Day falls. We will be also talking to, if the holidays remain the same, given the conversations we have, we will be talking to looking at through our contracts to make sure we're aligned with any contractual language for all of our working staff to make sure that we are in alignment with their contract and the calendar prior to its vote.
So we'll continue to look at revision drafts of the calendar over the next coming weeks and
I think this should be on the agenda every week, every meeting for the next few meetings, so we can solidify it.
And I just have days for 2030 and 2031, just highlighted, just so we have 5, you know, as we just kind of explain that.
Thank you, Anna, for creating this.
Thank you.
Any other thoughts on the calendar?
I do appreciate the election day in November being the PD date. I know we had received feedback from the community about, specifically the Tucker community, about concerns regarding voting on school days and various implications. So I think that makes sense, especially on a, there will be more things on the ballot next November than there were this November, for example, so it makes sense that that's a good plan.
Yeah, it's a safety issue. And we also will run the other days by our leadership team. I think the principals and our leadership team would like to not revisit, but make sure that they review the early release days and make sure that they're lined up in a way that makes sense for the teaching and learning sequencing that we want to put in place for next year. So there may be some changes around that as well. We are checking, that is November 3rd is the voting day. Charlene was checking on that, great, thank you.
November is very choppy next year because there's no 4 weeks of class.
Right, it's tricky with Veterans Day and Thanksgiving.
So it might actually be fine to just leave Lunar New Year, because then you're adding another day off to November on Diwali.
Diwali is in November, yeah. I think that's why we had originally not slotted it in for next year, was recognizing that would be a lot. When we had that conversation last year, we discussed, wanting to stay focused on the student learning experience, in making the decisions one year to the next, so. Anyway, thank you for
You're welcome.
your work on that so far.
Thank you. Thanks Charlene Roach for all that work.
Okay, so on the next portion of the agenda is the chair's report, and I want to begin with a really exciting update on the superintendent's contract. So last week on December 10th, the school committee met in an executive session and then voted in an open session to extend interim superintendent Phelan's contract through June 30th of 2027. And I think we discussed then, but it's worth reiterating that we're very grateful to you, Mr. Phelan, for being willing to stay for 1 additional year. We are grateful for the stability that this will provide for our district. And you've already made a really positive impact in many ways over the first half of this year since you joined us. We look forward to that continuing through next year. So thank you for being willing to see us continuing through this transition time for Milton Public Schools. As announced in the email that went out last week to both staff and the community of Milton Public Schools, the school committee will be launching a full search for Milton's next superintendent next fall of 2026. And we will be keeping both the community and staff informed about that process and seeking input from all stakeholders in the district. And in the meantime, we're thankful to be in your capable hands. So thanks again.
Well, thank you. Starting in May and June and meeting with Assistant Superintendent Katie Blake and partnering with her over the summer, really felt like a good match to be back in Milton. So I'm thankful for her partnership and thankful for all the work of the leaders in the district. And then being able to have Carla Cosa join us in the cabinet as well. The team of educators and leaders in the district and the teachers and faculty, the families and the students have been a joy to work with. So this is a great place to be. And I think that any search that we have next year will yield a great result because it's a great district to be in. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
The next topic that we have on the agenda here is community engagement discussion, and I believe Amanda added this to the agenda, just this being one of our school committee goals for this year, and recognizing that, you know, the benefit of returning to it, sort of every so often to just check in. This, as we discussed with our goals, is something we want to think creatively about this year and just continue doing our best to engage the community in conversations about and information about what we're doing here. One of the ideas that Amanda had wanted to open discussion on tonight was the idea of school committee members attending PTO meetings to stay connected with what's happening, the work our parent volunteers are doing in our schools, just as a way to be informed and then to be able to share that knowledge back to the school committee and to the community that way. We do have 6 schools and 6 school committee members, so I think there was the idea of, you know, potentially dividing up among us, the schools. I think if anyone has ideas about that, we could discuss it now. We won't make an actual solidify a plan until at least our next meeting, when Amanda is back, but just want to open that up for preliminary discussion if anyone has any thoughts.
I was at the MFE meeting this Monday with John, and when I was sitting there, I was thinking about this. MFE, the Milton Foundation for Education, is like the district PTO group, right? It would be nice if there's one parent volunteer who are PTO members at their individual school to join that meeting and be able to bring back what they had discussed, so that it's not always fall on the 6 of us. You know, because we do have other subcommittee meetings to attend as well. So if the parent volunteers for the individual classrooms, some of them are also PTO members. They attend the PTO meetings, and they will know what's exactly going on in that PTO meeting, and they can bring it back to the MFE group, which is the district-wide PTO group. And me and John are also there as well, so we also can hear from them what is happening in different schools. So I feel like that if that kind of hierarchy is established, then we don't have to always diluting the school committee members' energy. And it's just a suggestion, but I'm not sure how it will work.
So just Wendy New, who is the president of the MFE, does attend the PTO presidents meeting. So I host quarterly meetings with the PTO presidents, and Wendy comes. And that's where we get that connection between MFE and the PTO presidents, which we just had, I think last week or this Monday. And to your point, it is a very good exchange of ideas and making sure that both groups are aligned in how they do their fundraising and how they serve our constituencies and schools. So that there's been a very good conversation between the MFE and the PTO presidents through that mechanism. So we have a quarterly meeting, and we have some work that we do in between meetings to ensure that we're communicating well around grants and what's happening at the school level versus what's happening at the MFE level for all staff. So there is a little bit of that already happening, just as an FYI.
Okay. So do everyone feel like we need a school committee member at each PTO meeting?
How often do PTOs meet?
Once a month?
I think they meet monthly, and I mean, it's also the kind of thing that we could sort of try out. You know, we don't have to do like an all or nothing thing. It might not need to be that school committee members attend every PTO meeting for a given school, but maybe, you know, try to go a few times a year or something like that. I really hear your I mean, it's true, like school committee members already attend a lot of meetings, so that's definitely, that's a real aspect of it, but.
I think one of the thoughts was if each school committee member was a liaison to a school PTO, that you didn't have to go to every meeting. But if they had a question they could call their school committee liaison. Or if they had an important meeting that they would like to have a school committee member or representative at, you might end up only going to one meeting across the course of the year, but you would be their contact. And sometimes the school committee might be distributed. Maybe I have a high schooler, I have a Glover student, you might already have that kind of assignment by the fact that your children are already in that school. But just so they may enjoy, and I haven't talked about this with the PTOs, but they may enjoy knowing that they can always call our liaison is Lizzie. You know, Tucker calls Lizzie, or the high school calls Anna, or the middle school calls, just so they know they have a contact in a direct connection. And it may not require people to go to every meeting, or maybe even not any, but just to be connected to a school as a communication channel.
It's a good way to think about it. Makes sense. Well, we can keep discussing this at the next meeting. So we're not deciding anything right now, but just wanna sort of put the idea out there.
Should we
Mark.
not take our schools while Amanda's not here and then wait?
Well, let me add one more thing is that
Okay.
other than the PTO group meeting, there's also DIB meetings.
Yep.
So like how do we choose and pick, right? And that's why I really like that you're already doing the meetings with the PTO presidents so that you know what's going on with different schools. So when we are meeting with MFE or right here, you are the person who knows all the information. So
And maybe that would be, maybe that's a reason to make it a little bit, it's a liaison to the school more so than so like maybe DEIB committee and PTO, right? Like presidents, chairs, like they know that they can contact you or they can flag for you if something has come up that they could really use support around. Or I think the goal was to just create a little bit more connection between the schools and like the conversations that are happening here. So.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I mean, I already am part of the peers DEIB committee. So, yeah, and we meet like once a month. So I'm not sure how often their PTO meets, but yeah, like that totally makes sense because some of the members overlap, but it's always different people and different kind of visions. But it's also kind of a good way to be part of both of those committees because at some point it's good, like there are efforts made here, but then there's a disconnect, different efforts. But it would be nice to have that kind of conversation and look at it holistically. So, yeah.
Makes sense.
Supportive of the idea. I think it's a good one. I think it could be, each of us are connected to different schools by virtue of the fact that our kids have gone there. I think it could be useful to be a liaison to a school you don't know as well. Might actually make the role of your being a school committee member liaison easier. Versus like if I'm the liaison to Collycott, that feels complicated actually.
Right, so you have your parent hat on.
Yeah.
I was thinking the same thing.
And then the other, I just recall the last time we talked about this, we talked about also using community engagement this year as a way to accelerate or get some early thinking on the superintendent search for next year, which could also bring a little bit more purpose to these as well. Every time you meet with the PTO that you're assigned to, you have to talk about this topic, but if there could be, if we had a chance, like if we each had a couple of conversations with each of the PTOs we were assigned to, that would be, 12 conversations with 7 people over the course of the next few months, which would be really informative as we hit August next year and start launching that search, where it will include a big community engagement piece, but we will have already done quite a bit of homework just through engaging PTOs, which are an important constituency for that.
Very much agree.
So we can keep talking about this next time, move toward maybe finding a plan that feels comfortable for everybody. The only other topic under the community engagement discussion that I just wanted to sort of acknowledge, I think we're still ironing out the process for creating the updates of the school committee meetings to be included in the school and district emails. So that is something that we had agreed to do before, and then we've done it in some different ways. Stephanie O'Keefe, as we all know, is great and so helpful. But I was talking with Amanda about, I think we're still like refining the actual process of like who's doing what by when, to make sure that those summaries are being generated and that we all feel comfortable with what they include. So I just wanted to, name that because I think we're making good effort and good progress on it, and it's something that hopefully we can lock in a little bit more as a routine in January. Does anyone have any other thoughts on the topic of community engagement that you want to put out there now? Again, we'll be coming back to it. But I think these are good ideas and actionable things that we can keep working on. So if we're ready to move on to the next topic, it would be the finance subcommittee report.
Give me a short one. Not really. All right, FY27 budget is the first thing. We talked about that today. We got some additional information, which I sent out to members from the town administrator on the town's financial expense and revenue forecasts. We've not had the opportunity as a committee to talk with the town administrator since October when we had the initial meeting. So this information is kind of new, provides some more concerning is the right word, but some more modest revenue forecast increases, which could have implications for the school department budget. So we have shared kind of the level service budget with some of the school departments, some reallocation ideas to keep us to kind of within the level service number of 5.2%. They did talk about this at select board last night. And so there appears to be some additional work that the town administrator is doing to kind of finalize some revenue forecasts, finalize some expense forecasts, specifically also health insurance, and then some stuff we need to do to just understand more what those forecasts are and what the implications are for our budget. So we have not moved to, if you look at the FY27 budget timeline that was shared previously, we were right now at the place of a round two budget. We do not have that because we just don't have enough information. Town administrators expressed kind of being open and working to schedule a meeting the first week back in January, either that's 6th or the 7th. So we'll share that out once that's finalized. I hope to get some more information there. And then the finance committee is meeting again on the 14th, where hopefully we can take some of that information. Katie, John, the team can bring back then on the 14th some adjustments to the school budget, FY27 school budget that is in line with the town administrators' updated forecasts are looking like. Kind of drivers outside of the school department's control, which is how we coordinate with the town, given we are still one budget at the end of the day. Other notes, Katie or John, like to add to that?
I would really like to thank Katie for providing the overview and I think back in November, creating the budget at the high level at the 5.2% and going through it cost center by cost center with the original direction from town hall. So thank you, Katie, for preparing that in advance. And now whatever shifts that we need to make moving forward, we already have a foundational document that we can move on from moving forward. And we look forward to partnering with Nick Milano and Amy Dexter. Katie and I will be meeting with them on Monday to take another look at the numbers and we'll be reporting back to the school committee with that as well.
Yes, always thank Katie. Goes without saying. Should be said. Any questions members have on FY '27 budget? I think there's, even after I watched the select board meeting today, I have questions, so there's more information we need and really can't get that till we talk to the town administrator a little bit more. And it seems like, again, there's still work he's doing in that department, so more to come. FY '26 budget realignment. So at 2 finance meetings ago, I think it was, this was a discussion, school department brought up wanting to do some additional budget realignment work similar to what they brought to us in October, September, about just adjusting some things to save some funding and not fill positions to provide them some flexibility, kind of in a similar vein. Identified some other places where they wanted to realign budget, one of those being some of the requests that we heard at the last school committee meeting around some Tucker initiatives. Another piece being around trying to expand time that Carla can provide the district, given the important work she's doing within teaching and learning. And having her 5 days a week would be fantastic, if not kind of a standard expectation for most districts, and unfortunately we haven't had that. And so that was discussed at the finance committee. Generally, the school department asked for us to vote to just kind of give general agreement that this was direction we approved, which we did, voted for unanimously. It says vote on here, so is that we're not right now at the Q2 place where, so in Q2, Katie will present an updated kind of budget that shows these realignments, and we will vote on them formally during the Q2 process. But right now is the idea kind of to share that same direction. Did we share out the actual information, because I didn't see the materials today, just on, I don't remember if I forwarded after we voted on it.
The total cost is roughly $37,600 for adding a stipend for a music educator who will be taking the lead on the Fine and Performing Arts Department, which lost its director due to going to another district, and we did not fill that position. We let some time go by to find out, what service delivery pieces are essential that need to happen for those staff and those students that do music and art. And after watching and assessing and meeting with the staff or targeted members of the staff, we realized that we just needed someone to lead that work. And so that's a very small stipend that would do the work for the remainder of the year. And it quite frankly could be a pilot for if in fact next year we would want to continue with the lead teacher versus having a full administrator. So that has a dual purpose. That $37,000 also includes funds for Assistant Superintendent Calacosa to go from 3 days a week to 5 days a week. And to Mark's point, this is our work. This position is the workhorse of the teaching and learning side of the school department. So we thought it was essential to have that be filled. And for the public to know, when they say, well, where are they getting that money? How does that work? We did work really hard in August to not fill certain positions that we felt we could go 1 year without, in order to create flexibility for the year and meet the needs of the district in different areas if we needed to. And so these are 2 examples of us assessing what the needs are and using some of the funds that we saved in August during fiscal '26 and expending them in a different way to support the district. There may be one more lead teacher-like position that we might come back to the group for. We've been doing the same assessment for our educational technology role. AJ Melanson was in that role for about 5 years, did a lot of good work for all of our teacher and student-facing technology work, and also all the AI work, and we had a tech committee that was contributing to that. We're really discovering as the year goes by that there are service delivery pieces of that work that needs to be monitored, supervised, and led. Some of the work is just being distributed naturally across the teachers and the folks that do that, but we need someone to be in charge of a certain part of that work. So we have already had a couple of meetings and we're trying to figure out what that targeted work would look like. But it would similarly be a lead teacher role that could be roughly $5,000 for the remainder of the year. It's more about respect for the work being done by folks who are taking on extra work more so than the actual dollars. $5,000 is not that much money, but the amount of work that whoever takes that role on would put in. So that would be one that would be maybe coming down the road. We're still doing the assessment. But what we presented to you was about $37,000 for finding performing arts lead and 5 days a week for our assistant superintendent. And that will be in the Q2 and voted in the Q2. And the second quarter closes on December 31st.
Questions members have about that direction? If not, I don't have this language in motion, so I'll try and bring it here. I'll make a motion to, for the school committee to support the direction of the school department in realigning budget to address the priorities as discussed here tonight by the superintendent. Is there a second? Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you for your work. Thank you, Carl, too, for
Excited to do
being
it.
with us more. Item C is community schools summer program fees. This is also something we discussed at the last school finance meeting. School department's trying to get this information out a little bit earlier than other fees, given kind of the registration for the school or the summer program happens sooner than kind of the rest of the fees for next school year. Are there materials within the folder? Yes, that works, yeah. So they uploaded a copy of kind of the presentation that the director of the community schools program kind of walked us through, highlighting some of the financial gaps within the program from last year with the expansion of Camp Tucker and some other things. And essentially the goal here is to adjust the fees in order to have them align with expenses, so it is a self-run program. At this point it has been, but it has pulled from the kind of reserves in the community schools more than we would have liked it to, based on the operations last summer. And so raising the fees helps address that and ensures that it's not something that will continue into the future. And then there is information that's nice enough to provide on just comparison of costs for Milton community schools programs versus other summer camp programs, and how we rank within there, and how the fee proposal still has us right in line. It's very competitive. Further information you'd like to share on that?
I don't want to share the finance side of it. I could leave that to Katie if she would like to comment on the fee increase, but Martha Sandoval is a true professional. She runs the Milton Community Schools at a very, very high level. I'm very impressed with her attention to detail, care for the students and the staff, and the programming and the quality of the programming that she provides. She has worked closely with Katie to really go through the exercise of making sure that the fees that we're charging are not only as low as we can do for our families, but high enough to make the programs work. So this past year, the summer of 2025, was the first year of our Tucker Community School programming, which is an expansion from the traditional Cunningham-Collycott site that has been operating for years. And they got the word out a little late, so her request to get the fee increased in December in order to get the word out to the Tucker community, starting already through January. She believes, even with a slight increase in the fee, but the advance notice for folks to be able to choose the program and sign up early and secure a spot will increase the enrollment. Between the enrollment increase and the slight fee increase, we think it will come back to a more reasonable cash flow perspective for community schools to offer programming over the summer at both Cunningham, Collycott, and at Tucker. So again, thank you for Katie for supporting Martha, and Martha does a terrific job for the after schools and the summer programming.
Just a couple of things, and I know, sorry, I missed the finance committee meeting where this was discussed. Do fee increases typically happen every year, or is it does it happen as needed?
I think it's been from my understanding, it's been a combination of both. I think because of the balance in the account for communities, there were periods of time where the fees were increased. And then there were also years where we did increase the fees moderately, even though we did have a surplus in that account. So I think it's kind of been a combination of where we were and what we felt was appropriate in that year. That's just based off of the history that I've learned from Martha.
Got it, okay. I think it would be some experience running summer camps. And I know that big fee increases can often drive down enrollment. And so even if you're increasing your fees to try to break even, it's not even quite breaking even, it can actually impact the number of families who end up enrolling because there's sticker shock. And so I think moving to thinking about just an annual increase every year of whatever it is, something that can be smoothed out, because some years your cost might not go up very much and some years they might go up 6%. So, you know, a 3% increase or 4% increase every year is something that families can absorb and are less likely to drive down enrollment. So just maybe something for you and Martha to consider. And then do the camps have an obligation to run at break even, or they can run at a loss?
They can operate at a loss, and that's what they've done in previous years. But it's just been offset by, because there was a balance in the account, because we were operating at a surplus throughout the school year program. And so that would offset the loss that we were incurring during the summer.
Yeah.
But because of, over the course of the last several years, we increased the salary rates pretty significantly, and we worked really hard to try to increase the capacity of the program by hiring more staff. The balance in that account has really been depleted to the point where we really felt like it was necessary to increase the fees so that each aspect of the program is self-sustaining, because this is the intent of this program, the structure of the program is that it's a self-sustaining program and that it's not funded by the operating budget in any way. And so we just want to ensure that that continues to be the case. A piece of what we looked at, although it is a 10% increase, which seems significant, is also doing some analysis. And I say we, it's Martha. Martha does a tremendous job researching and doing the work at looking at the other summer camps and other programs. And we are still, even with a 10% increase, we're still comparable to some of the other programs, if not lower, based off of some of the programs that are around us. And so that's why the enrollment is really strong at Cunningham. We truly feel like the enrollment will be strong at Tucker. We just wanted to, we wanted to give our families enough time to be able to prepare for the summer. So we figured it was better to get this in front of you all now, and then Martha can move forward with posting this, and then we'll come back in January or February and talk about the fee structure for the rest of the program.
Thank you.
Just to your question, last time, I think based upon the fee schedule that we updated, the summer camp was FY '24, increased by $10. $20, something.
$10.
That's, yeah, what the fee schedule says.
I just want to highlight something that Katie mentioned, that we will be coming back. Right now, we're targeting the school year program in all schools. Again, to Katie's point, we treat the community school is almost like a nonprofit. They need to have at least so many months of payroll and expenses in hand in order to make sure that they're solvent throughout the year. And right now, we're not working at that level. So these fee increases will be needed in order to make sure that there's always at least a 3-month balance in the accounts for payroll, et cetera. There have been years where we've had more than that in there, and there's years that we've had less than that in there. Right now, we're on the less than side. So for all the reasons that Katie pointed out, a fee increase is going to be warranted for the school year program as well.
Any other questions members have about this? So this does require a vote of the school committee. So I'll make a motion to approve the increase in fees to the community school summer program. Is there a second? Lizzie? Any further discussion? Not all in favor? Last piece is the approval of the vendor warrants. I have signed. This number is not right in the motions, so I need to figure out. Share, I can do 22 as well. We have vendor warrant 23 and 24 that I just signed tonight. Give me a second, I'm sorry. We don't need y'all to vote for them anymore, but I do need to just share the numbers. We already did 22 last time, but apologies. All right, I signed vendor warrant 24 dated 12/18/2025 in the amount of $703,504.47. That was shared out with everybody. I signed vendor warrant 23 and dated 12/11/2025 in the amount of $423,024.36. That was shared with everybody, just to be safe. Vendor warrant 22 dated 12/4/2025 in the amount of $472,231. That was also shared. That one we might have missed because of the last committee meeting we didn't have.
Thank you, Mark.
Of course.
Next, we have policy subcommittee, Anna.
So policy is not meeting for December, so we will have our next meeting in January. Unfortunately, we just had some scheduling conflicts. But you do have
The draft version and the final version of policy IHAMD, which is the wellness policy, in your folders. The draft version shows just the red line version towards the bottom of the policy. So just a few minor wording changes before we submit this. And obviously it's a second reading and a vote for tonight, so final policy is also in your folder. If everyone's good, I can go ahead and make a motion to approve the second reading of policy IHAMD, wellness policy. Do I have a second?
Second.
all in favor.
You too.
Awesome, thank you. Thank you, Anna. We will to facilities advisory committee.
Okay, so facilities advisory met yesterday. It was a very short meeting. Unfortunately, Tom could not be part of it. He's a big part of our meetings. So we did, and a couple of members could not be there as well. So we did have a quorum, so we decided to meet. We basically approved a couple of minutes from September and October past meetings. As well as we did have the Tucker Playground update on our agenda, so I did take them through the presentation that was shared by the Tucker PTO a couple of weeks ago, so which was very exciting, and they were very, just kind of to kind of bring them up to speed on what's been done and what the steps are and kind of where we are right now and what's kind of our goal. And I think what we would like to do is for the facilities committee to get kind of work hand in hand with all the different schools as these types of projects come about and how we can partner with them and help them out. So that was kind of the gist of our meeting yesterday.
Question, this is not necessarily related to what you shared, but have y'all heard any update on the construction of Cunningham? A couple things came up just because, again, my daughter happens to be in those classes. Maybe this is, yeah, sorry.
So the meetings for the summer of 27 work are starting to take place remotely with the owner project manager. We have been asked by the owner project manager as part of the project to clear out the attic of the Cunningham, which will be the new library. So Katie and I and others, Tom McCarthy, Bob Mayhew, and any Milton Public School coordinator or person who has items in that library we went up about a month and a half ago to identify, tag items to either be thrown out or stored or in preparation, stored to come back to the school in September when we reopen the library, or stored permanently off-site because we have records and payroll records that need to be kept for a longer period of time. With that said, the library will be empty, the attic will be emptied in order to do some preliminary work over winter break for just a few days. Then there'll be some work done in the February break for a few days, and then there'll be some work done over April break. These work sessions will allow the company to set themselves up for success. So when the summer starts, they can really have a couple, maybe 8 to 9 days of work already completed and hit the ground running, because we have a short summer to complete a good amount of work in the summer of 26. We have a lot of confidence in the contractor who came in on budget and on time for the first phase. And we're working with them. I want to thank John Redden for going to every single meeting on it. Now they're happening on every other Wednesday. Tom McCarthy and Bob Mayhew and John Muir, who's a senior custodian at the Cunningham Collycott. So we will be in the schools over those 3 breaks getting work done. They will be in the schools over those breaks. The only folks in the building at that time will be our community schools folks. We have 2 days of community schools over the winter recess because it's the way the holiday falls. It's not that it's the Friday and the Monday and Tuesday, so there's 3 days of community schools. And there'll be community schools in the building on the February and April break. But just like we did last summer, we will cordon off, create drop-off pickup space, and coordinate between Milton Community Schools and the construction folks for the work being done in a safe and orderly manner.
Yeah, the head of the Cunningham Community School said it went great for the summer.
Yeah.
So that's great. Question I had was actually more on the punch list for the work that happened last summer. It seemed like the lights, right, the construction lights are still in, not the permanent lights, they don't have cubbies or lights for their coats and bags, or even temporary places for those things. So just like, what is that?
So we've had 2 sets of cubbies arrive at the Cunningham School and 2 sets of cubbies sent back from the Cunningham School back to the vendors. The third version of the cubbies arrived today. All 9 sets will go and be installed probably in the next 2 weeks. The students and the staff have waited a long time for those to be put in place. Principal Redden, again, has been very, very, very much the advocate of making sure that it's been done in an orderly way. The first 2 were not appropriate cubbies. I don't know what's an appropriate cubby and what's not an appropriate cubby, but we did not get what we had ordered, so we wanted to make sure we got what we had paid for. So the lights are supposed to be remedied, and I don't have a timeline for that. For folks who don't know, they do feel like a construction light because they are hanging down in a way that they're not recessed into the ceiling in the way that we would want them in a classroom. It's certainly okay for a limited amount of time, but when you have, young students at the elementary level with something hanging over them, it becomes a little distracting and potentially something that we would prefer it to be temporary and moved into the permanent lighting situation. I don't have a timeline on that, but I can get one to you.
So the last update that I had received was that the materials were in, and the electrician was planning on completing the work this past weekend. And so we just need to confirm that that work was completed, but hopefully it's complete by now with no lights.
Is there any other beyond the cubbies and lights? Is the only time I'm aware of any other punch lists.
No other.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And just in the thank you department, Nick Milano, Katie, Tom McCarthy, Bob Mayhew, John Muir, all those folks on the facility side of the work and the business side of the work have really worked hard. And they've been very helpful with furniture and different things that were needed as we began to see what the spaces needed in order to operate effectively. And all those things were secured and put in place. So with these last two things being tied up, that floor will be done. It'll be really exciting to see the library in place after the summer of '26.
Okay, thank you. So next we have MFE. You sort of spoke to this a little bit. Is there anything else to share from the Milton Foundation for Education?
Yes, MFE is celebrating their 30th anniversary. So you should have received an email from them about the $30 for 30 years campaign. Of course, you're welcome to donate more than $30, but we hope to have a lot of people contribute. And you should also receive that information in the principal's weekly emails as well. There's a little section in the email about the campaign. And obviously they just closed a very successful year of Monster Dash, and they are looking forward to host the end of the year Derby race. That is going to be celebrating the Teacher of the Year on May 2nd, 5 to 7 p.m. at the Blue Hill Country Club. So you're welcome to attend as well, and they would love to have your attendance. They are continuing to looking for more volunteers to join their team as members, but especially as a treasurer. So if you have anyone listening or watching who have financial experience, please consider. They are also busy in January. The application for grants is closing on December 30th or 31st. Currently, they have received 22 applications, but and from all 6 schools. However, they haven't received any application from Tucker and Glover, so we would like to shout out to the teachers at these 2 schools and try to put your applications in before the deadline. And that's pretty much all we had discussed about. John, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, the grants, we, after that meeting, I sent an email to all the principals with all the grant application information that they turned around and sent to their staff. So we're hoping to increase the amount of grants across all 6 schools, but make sure all schools are represented. And it's very impressive that the MFE can continue to support the classroom and school buildings through their grant process. Teachers get really exciting things, and we're working with the PTO and the MFE jointly. What we really want to do, or what I'm proposing that the school department needs to do, is really take a look at what they're funding and make sure that whatever they're funding that should be purchased within our budget, that we take that on and do so, because the MFE should be enhancing the program in Milton Public Schools, and each individual PTO should be enhancing what's going on in those schools, not supplanting the things like textbooks and things that should be taken out of our budget. I think that they are relieved to hear that, because they're really struggling to make sure that they do the things that would be nice to do and not wanting to expend those dollars in things that maybe the budget should take care of. So Katie and I will be working over the next several years to bring back some of those things into the budget so they can then have money freed up to provide the exciting things and enhancing things. So to Bow's point earlier, the MFE is like the district's PTO. They are looking for ideas, wanting to support teachers in the classroom, and our PTOs are doing the same things in the building. So it's been great to work with both parties to line the work up for them. So we're working in concert with each other and not, unknowingly maybe crossing lines a little bit. And the MFE continues to be, I think I've been involved in the Milton schools for 28 of the 30 years that they have been in existence, and being a high functioning group for 30 years is amazing, and it's all volunteer work. And going to the meetings like we do, they're such an impressive group of people and they're dedicated, so we can't thank them enough. And they're gonna be doing the appeal, so absolutely the 30 for 30. It could be $30, it could be $300, it could be $30,000. Don't limit yourself to 30, it could be 30 and more. So all that money goes directly back to the classroom. So if you get that mailing at home and you're a community member, please donate generously. All those dollars go right back into your public schools.
The next topic on the agenda is the Capital Improvement Planning Committee, so I can give a quick report on this. We have had a couple of meetings. We met on December 4th and December 11th. I would like to thank Amy Dexter for all her work coordinating our committee. We're chaired again this year by Richard Wells. On December 4th, we had Tom McCarthy, Director of Consolidated Facilities for the town, come and present his priorities for the town side departments. And so the way that this committee is set up, starting around early December, we start to have meetings where different department heads come and share their capital requests. And he kicked off by sharing some of the top priorities for the town. That included learning about the windows at Town Hall needing to be replaced, for example. There was some discussion of the Atherton Fire Station, need for renovations of the bathroom there. However, that will be impacted potentially by the timeline of the full renovation of that fire station, which I know is under discussion. So that was something that was discussed, and also the need for some upgrades at the library. So as we all know, Tom, in addition to managing the capital request for the town, also manages the request for the schools, and he will be sort of separately going in depth presenting the school's facilities requests at a future meeting. The next meeting on December 11th, we had Department of Public Works Director Marina Fernandez came in along with the civil engineer Sky Barabay, and they presented the priorities for capital requests for DPW. That included needed equipment, road and sidewalk construction and maintenance, like they do every year. She gave a really in-depth explanation of sort of where we are in relation to state aid, specifically for that item, but also sort of the need to catch up as a town around being proactive with our maintenance, because the more you defer it, the more expensive and disruptive it becomes to maintain the roads. So that was a good conversation. Also tree planting, and then presented separate requests pertaining to stormwater. So that was that conversation. We're still, as you mentioned, under finance, waiting for more clarity from Nick Milano and just in general to understand what the FY27 budget is looking like. That impacts the discussion about the capital requests as well. Traditionally, we've been using about $1 million of free cash each year to support capital requests, and that's, as of our last conversation, that was sort of still an expectation that was put forward for FY27, but obviously things are fluid, so we'll continue to learn more about that. The Capital Improvement Planning Committee will keep meeting with different departments, learning more about their requests, and that just helps us make informed decisions ultimately to prioritize the highest needs for the town. And just to flag at this early stage, we already have discussed and we know that there will once again be a lot of important needs on the capital side that we'll have to defer to future years. And that's just based on what we can see about the general financial picture. And that's challenging, but it's also our opportunity to make sure we're careful and diligent in identifying the most important needs to fund for next year. So at this point, we were supposed to meet tomorrow, but we're no longer meeting. We will, I think, resume the meetings in January. January, and I'll just keep you posted. I don't know exactly when Tom is coming to present the schools. Sometimes the superintendent will attend that meeting as well to answer questions. So I'll definitely let you know if I learn anything more about that. Any questions? So the final committee update we have is the Student Advisory Committee. Is there anything more beyond what the students shared or at the top of the meeting? That was a great update from them, and I just would like to say I'm really appreciating the consistency of having the student representatives attend to share those updates from their perspectives. It's really a nice way to begin the meetings. Was there anything else that you wanted to share?
I think there's one extra thing other than the cell phone policy, the graduation requirement discussion is we talk about the curriculum subcommittee, and we talk about how we will have the students' input and the teachers' input as well, but we haven't had any scheduled meeting. So perhaps we should start looking into scheduling those meetings in January. The sooner the better.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've met with Karen Cahill, principal of the high school. We will meet with her internally first to find out what she's looking to do, review it internally, and then we'll post the first meeting of the curriculum review committee. We'll invite the students as well. And it'll probably, usually it takes 1 or 2 meetings of the curriculum review to kind of ask questions and have Karen or her team go back and review, add anything, change anything, and bring it back to the group. So that is January work. We were hoping to do our internal work before the winter recess, but we were unable to meet. So we will do that in the targeted area right now is the graduation requirements.
And when we do schedule those, we can cross-post that meeting, right? 'Cause I know.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All subcommittees should be cross-posted, absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great, thank you. So that just brings us to next meeting draft agenda items. So from this discussion, we have under Chair's report, we'll continue community engagement conversation. Committee reports, we will have school building committee. We will have finance.
We will have finance and we will have an update on school calendar as well.
Okay.
And just so the committee, just to remind the committee, this is a shared doc that I add all the different topics for the year. And I'm not sure if people are aware, I do share it. It's in your drive. I actively just change this every week and add things like tonight. I'll add different pieces that we want to put on. Some of the upcoming items that we want to just foreshadow a little bit. Dr. F.A. Shavers received a grant from DESE connected to diversifying our staff. And so she's been working with Katie to get the financial pieces in order to support our work, to diversify our workforce. So I would like to have her come present on that. We're thinking about having Danielle Wetmore, our Director of Student Services, come present on what she's working on and also her interactions with CPAC as well. And we will have later in the month of January and February a literacy update from Kat DeRoche, as well as a data update. Our second big data drop is in late January. So we'll have Brian Selig and Kat DeRoche come in the first meeting in February. So they'll give you a presentation of the data. And we are also working on our presentations that we will be asking individual principals to have and come to the table as well. So that's all after the first of the year coming forward.
Great. Well, that's a lot to look forward to. In the meantime, I hope everyone enjoys a well-deserved break, especially three of you. And all of our teachers and staff throughout the district. And yeah, just wish everyone happy holidays.
Absolutely. Enjoy the time, and thank you very much for your support. We appreciate it very much. Thank you, Katie and Kyle.
To adjourn.
To adjourn. Okay, thank you, Mark. Is there a second? Val? Okay, all in favor? Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you.